Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Master, where we rank, review, trailer act, and talk news about movies, TV shows, and video games. Welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. Today we're going to be reviewing another movie. So today we'll be reviewing a 2007's Ghost Rider. Now I already hinted that in the last video, I was indeed going to be doing a film based on a motorcycle riding guy, and that was Ghost Rider. Now I mentioned Australia, I will get to that just in a bit. But first, I will just say that this movie is a pretty good movie, and I'm not going to oversay how much it is. I never base my liking of this all. And not a lot of it's based on nostalgia. I base this on what I think of it. And remember, this is my opinion, so whatever I think of it is my opinion. If you don't like what I think of this, then you can be happily sharing your displeasure in the comments down below. Now with that, let's get on to it. So the first thing about this is that I already talked to you about, how about I talk a bit about the behind the scenes. Now I mentioned that there was a connection to Australia. Turns out the film was actually filmed in Australia. I believe around Victoria, Melbourne, Australia. It was filmed around that area of the country, and that's where they filmed most of the film. So all the city shots were from Australia, and I think that was really cool that they filmed it there, and quite awesome. And even an Australian band wrote the song Ghost Riders in the Sky, which plays in the opening and the closing credits of the film. Now, reading by the year date of when it was released and the thing, as I've already mentioned a lot, I was actually born the year this movie came out. Not the month, but I was born the year this film was released. So, right as this movie was getting released, I was getting born into this glorious planet we call the world. So yeah, and I'll be doing it on 3 categories: good, in the middle, and bad. So yeah. Now, let's get on with the good. So overall, what I think is good is that the story is pretty good. Like, it's a pretty good story. Nothing that grandiose, nothing that bad. It's pretty good. It's in between those ones. It's a good story. It serves well for what the characters are, and I think it's a good story. Like, you're gonna have a decent, good time watching it. It's not like the greatest story ever. The writing is not top-notch writing. The writing will not be top-notch. It's just good. That's all it is. It's a good story. You're going to have some fun with it. And don't take it seriously. Don't try to treat it like an MCU movie. A lot of these 2000 movies, you can't treat them like they're an MCU movie. Any movie that's not an MCU movie that was released between 2000, between any movie between Blade 1 and the last Marvel movie that wasn't an MCU movie in 2009, you can't treat those as a MCU movie. A lot of people, I've noticed, treat MCU movies and older Marvel movies very differently. That's something new. They treat them the same. You should not be treating them the same. These movies were made way differently in an entirely different time and period, and Ghost Rider is an example of that. Now, it's not one of the most popular movies. It's a largely, very much forgotten movie that's not very well liked among some fandoms. I would say that it has a good story, and the story involves very good. And I would say that the next thing is the acting is pretty decent. Like, I think the actors do a good job. Nick Cage is probably one of the better parts of this film. He does good in the role he's meant to be in. Eva Mendes as Roxanne does okay, but there's nothing really much to do with her. Like, a lot of the other characters don't really get to do much in the story. Curtis Slade's a good actor. I think he was good, but he didn't really get a lot to do, and there was nothing much for other characters to do, and it didn't really feel like they had any role besides Ghost Rider, but obviously he's the main character, so. And I would say one thing I've had a complaint about, and the thing I've noticed over the years of watching this movie over and over again, is that young Johnny Blaze and old Johnny Blaze look nothing alike. The young actor and old actor clearly don't look anything alike, and I think this was back in the days when you cast the 2 completely different actors as young and older versions, and if you're gonna cast an older version, get an actor that looks at least similar to the guy. But yeah, I think the actors are pretty okay in the roles they cast for. They do well with what they're given. Like, you can't blame the actors for some of the odd part choices that the story chooses to take with these characters. It's the writing that was done by them, and some of this weird, zany 2000 stuff. So, a lot of the actors are just trying to make do with what they got given in the script. Now, the looks for the characters, I think some of them are really cool. Carter Slade's Ghost Rider, especially Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider, has a really cool bike in his look. I think it's comic accurate. It looks really badass, and I really wish they brought it back in the later films, but tweaked a few things. I think the voice for Ghost Rider is really cool, and I think his look looks quite awesome, and the villains look decently dressed. They're dressed like edgelords from the 2000s, but with the 2000s, so I'll just give it a pass. But the villains dress decently looking. I think they dress really well for what the aesthetic of the film is, and I think some of them look really cool, and I think it just looks really awesome. Now, next thing is the acting. The acting itself is okay. Like I said, nothing grandiose. They do decent with what they've been given. It doesn't really, yeah, they just do good with what they're given. Next part of it is the action. The action is pretty good. I enjoy a lot of the action we have in this film. I quite like a lot of the fight scenes and some of the stuff. I think it's quite good. It's a bit weird in how it does a lot of zoom in shots, like it zooms in on the shot of the characters. It's a really good, it's weird, but I think the fight scenes are pretty good. Now moving on to In the Middle. It's cheesy. It's a cheesy film. It's really weird. It has a lot of this weird 2000s, zany 2000s Marvel movie stuff that they had back in the time when these movies were made. So you can't judge the creators for having this weird zaniness of 2000s vibe. It was around when the movie was released, so unfortunately we can't blame them for that. It's cheesy, it's a bit corny at times, but it works in a lot of places, and I congratulate them for trying to make it work. Now the tone is one of the biggest things that people have talked about. It flew between horror and being a cheesy, kind of a very cheesy film, and it flew between the two a lot, of being a very dark, kind of scary horror movie vibe to being a more cheesy, weird, cheesy 2000s movie. So it flew a lot between being those movies. And I think it would have been better if they took the vibe of Blade, to the original Blade movie. It would have probably been better if they took that route, but it's okay as it is, but it's very cheesy, and you can tell they're trying to fight between a more cheesy, very campy take of the character and a very much more serious horror vibe that the movie was clearly trying to go for. I think they should have leaned more into the horror aspect of the character and have a lot of the night scenes be very creepy, but as the movie is, it's okay, but it's campy and cheesy, but also a bit of a scary film at times too. So yeah. The tone, besides that, another thing is the villain. The villain is really weird. It's in the middle. He's okay, but not the greatest villain. He has a lot of flaws. He doesn't feel like, honestly, I just don't really vibe with them. I think the villain's kind of lame, not nearly as good as Mephistopheles, who probably should have been the main villain. I think, yeah, it's an okay movie. I think Blackheart could have worked better if they got a better actor for him, because I think the actor does okay, but clearly I think he just wasn't cast for the role, and I think he just doesn't really give me the threatening vibe that he has. So, yeah. Now, overall, Ghost Rider 2007 is an okay movie. I think if you watch it, it's not nearly as bad as some people say it is. It's a good movie. You can enjoy it. And if you avoid, don't take it too seriously. Don't look at it as an MCU movie like a lot of these older movies or see me review will be. It's a good movie. That's all it's going to be. It's a good movie. You're going to have a good time. And I give the overall rating an 8 out of 10. It's a good movie. I think you can have fun with it and enjoy it. Nonetheless, that is what that video was for today. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. What did you guys think of Ghost Rider? Have you even seen the movie? And if you did see it back in the day when it came out in 2007, tell me, what was it like? What did you think of it? And if you've seen it now, what did you think of it again? Nonetheless, that is all I got for you today. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, click that notification bell so you don't miss any of this good content that I have coming your way. Or mid-content if that's how you feel. But nonetheless, that's all. See you guys later, and I'll see you guys till the next video. Bye-bye.